I'm here to make a video about the fact that we are not going out to lunch. He has decided that he will just waste his taxi coupons. This is the second time he's been the last day. So I'm beginning to think that he doesn't need a taxi coupon.
You know what the problem is we are out to lunch every day. So why should I have to go out to lunch on the last day of my crummy...
So, and I wasn't too fond of going out either.
Well, it's only 100 right now.
Yeah, it's 100 degrees. I mean, we're going to go get in a taxi, go to some place, and then call another taxi to bring us home. So, when I came down, I noticed he was in a bad mood. And when he finally said, "You mind if we don't go out to lunch?" I said, "No, I don't mind." Then he cheered right up. So now we have done the unthinkable. We have called in a pizza order.
Oh my God.
And, you know, I usually, when the weather's not too bad and I'm not ailing with some weird thing, I go over and pick up the pizza. I've told him before, no. You're not going to have pizza delivered.
I have her trained. It's, let's see, across the street, half a block up, a block over. Whoa. But now, since you can barely get between here and the door, I'm pretty well screwed. I have to go get my own pizza. The heck with that, folks. I'm having it delivered.
Yeah, he's having it delivered. He asked the clerk if it would be okay if he gave the man a tip.
It could be a girl.
She said yes.
It could be a girl. It could be any, who knows? Where's your sense of humor? The funny thing about it was...
But he's not stingy.
Well, I
do like that about a man. He does.
I put it on my credit card.
Tip.
She says, "Sure, just, you know, just give me another number." I've done it so many times, except that she's always taking my card over there, right? Right. I just have to sign for it when it shows up. Boy, is this complicated, or we having some fun now?
Well, you're not putting the tip on the credit card, are you? You're giving it to him, aren't you?
I thought maybe you'd like to pony up some.
He wants me to pay the tip? He knows I have very expensive taste. I can hardly afford my food taste because I don't eat anything but the best. He eats the worst and I eat the best. So I just don't know how we managed to agree on pizza. Oh, boy. But anyway, as you can see, I'm dressed warmly because he keeps his apartment several degrees too low.
79 degrees is too low.
Yes! I have to have 80 and a half, 82 and a half.
Well, that's true. I've seen people go into convulsions when it's 2 degrees hotter than they can handle.
Yeah, well, this is Phoenix. This is Phoenix, and they claim it's going to be 116 day after tomorrow. 116. Now we're going to have to get ready for it.
There's going to be some places
brace ourselves.
Wonderful state. It's going to hit 120.
Where? Somewhere in the state. Well, I hope it's not here, please. So anyway, you're privileged to hear the troubles and the tribulations and
it's trials and tribulations.
Oh, that's right, trials. I was trying to think of it. I was trying to think of the word. But
at least I'm not having anything amputated that I not too concerned.
And he seems a little bit perturbed because I said that I was going to get rid of him if I got rich and famous.
No, that's not what you said.
Well,
you said you were
really think there's a
You said you were going to dump me.
Oh, dump.
Just dump me, right?
Dump. But asked him, well, do you think there's really a danger that I'm going to get rich and famous? It's harder than it looks. You know, there's very few people that do get rich and famous. I hope you noticed that.
Well, yes, I watch television a lot. Mm-hmm. And, you know, like, that's pretty much my life, you know. I got this big television screen about like this, you know. It's like sitting in the movies and having to look up at the screen. But the nice thing about it is you get to see everybody's blemishes, you know, and the high definition, you know, you don't get to see that. But now you see all these beautiful girls, they got little, you know, spots here, spots there, spots all over the place. Even when they put makeup on, you know they got spots on them, you know. You can just see it. Mm-hmm. Oh, in the cleavage.
Well, you got these people, our audiences are very lucky. They get to see all of us, you know, blemishes, everything. And that is our appeal.
They don't.
I think that's our appeal.
No, they don't really do that. Because I put on makeup in the bathroom while you're not looking, right?
Oh, see, yeah. He has shaved, so he must be trying to do something.
So now I just look grizzly. Instead of Grizzly Adams, I just look grizzly now, you know.
Yeah.
It's no big deal.
He's trying to look better.
I'm trying to update my
but anyway, you know, on this business of getting rich
and
famous, I just know it. I just know they'll think of some reason not to publish my memoirs nationally, and so I can get rich and famous. They're going to think of some reason not to do it.
I can't think of one.
Wouldn't you want to read it?
I try to do that with a straight face, but it just didn't come out that way. I can't think. Well, I can think of several, but
would
I'd publish your memoirs.
Yes, but you don't count. I've told you.
Well,
you're not a
know.
publisher.
But the point is, I've never read any of them. If I read them, I'd probably go.
I mean, I get memoirs to the library all the time. These people have got far enough down the road that I would call them reasonably rich and famous. I mean, if you can have your memoir sent around to all the public libraries, you've made it. You've made it.
Well, don't you understand one thing about publishing business?
What?
The first thing they do is send books out to each goofy library in the world. Oh, I got 1,000 copies, and how much have you sold? Well, 2. Where are they? Well, they're in the libraries, you know. The library's not going to turn down. I go to the library
to get these memoirs.
The library will not turn down a free book.
I go to the library to get these memoirs, and this is where I aspire to be, in all the libraries. And so everybody can have access to my recollections of my colorful life. I was born and raised, well, I wasn't born there. My sisters were born there in log houses, but I was born in the city. I was the first, so they thought they'd try the city hospital. But I was taken back and raised in very primitive surroundings. No electricity, no running water. It was, in a log house most of the time. It was just, you know. And I've come up, and so he does not think that I'm, well, but you know, there's many a slip between publication, writing your memoir, and publishing it, and getting it in all the libraries. Now that's what we've got to find out. I've got to find out how to do that. So I'm writing the chapter. I'm 15 years old, and I'm going to live with my great-grandmother. This is where I am.
Crap.
My great-grandmother, and I found out
You're 15 years old. You know how many more years we got to go, folks?
Yeah, I've got a lot.
She will definitely not make it until she's...
This is
You're going to have to live to be 150 years old before this thing gets done.
So this is my rook-playing great-grandma, who would get sick enough to die if anybody mentioned going to church to her. she was an old lady right after my own heart. After 2 years of my aunt making me go to church, some sort of church form, studying seminary, I had to go 6 days a week, and sometimes in the night.
Jeez, I'm sorry to hear that.
Yeah, and you were raised that way too.
Yeah,
and
right. I got Saturdays off though. Okay.
Well, I was going to go live with my old grandma, and I didn't know what to expect. I knew she had some religious sons. One was a bishop, and the other one was. This is how Mormonism is, though. They get these great big families. You can never tell. At least one or two of them will rebel. So I had no idea that my old grandma was a rebel. She was, that was the one thing that I'll always treasure about her. Is when her daughter or anybody else, I'm sure, would mention going to church to her, you probably won't see me again. I'm getting old. I feel that way right now. She was the same age as I am right now when I went to live with her.
Can I take you to church? Let me take you out to temple. I'll take you out to Mesa. There's a real nice temple out in Mesa.
I'm sure you won't see me again. I'd hate to have to go to, and I'd hate to have to take in
I'll use these taxi cabs.
15-year-old
take you over in a cab, drop you off.
Great-granddaughter. This is what they ask her to do. They ask her, would you please take Irene's oldest daughter in and let her live with you? And my poor old grandmother had said, well, I don't know. I mean, and I think of it now. I think of what a brave woman she was to say yes to take in the likes of me to...
Well, I think you've been taken in quite often myself.
Well, that was what happened, when we had there was no high school where we lived, so somebody had to take us in, and my dad was spending all the money, and
high school?
I had to go find someplace to go to high school.
You got a one-room school. It's got first grade, second grade, third grade, fourth grade, fifth grade, eighth grade. We got 12 kids in the class. We go from 1 to 8,
And now I was in high school.
That's not an education.
And,
is it?
And the thing of it is I was supposed to work for my room and board, or for my board and food. And now how was I going to work with this old lady? Well, I found out one of my duties was to sleep with her in her room.
All right, this is...
No, not with her in her bed, but I had a little cot over the side. I see where this is going,
and that is why you become
she want me to sleep in her? She kept first of all, she kept the bedroom just as hot as it could be. You know how old ladies are. 82 degrees, I keep it, and she kept it probably even hotter than that. And I'd be stifling hot. I was used to have my window open all winter.
I think that's pretty much where you got this gay, you've heard of radar.
This is where I got. This is where I got inflammation.
You got gaydar, right? You picked up gaydar. I pick up gaydar,
Well, when I was, and then her room smelled very strongly of liniment. Liniment.
What's wrong? You got a problem with being gay?
I would kind of try to sneak the window open, when I was truly stifling, just a little crack so I could breathe. And she would immediately detect it. She could detect a draft just like I can. We've got the same power, detecting drafts. She would feel that draft clear across her. Is her window open? Sorry, Grandma.
What did you think about when you passed gas?
No, and then every single night, Grandma would do this. All of a sudden, she would start moaning and groaning. And at first I was very alarmed.
People will be coming in figuring out either I'm killing you or we're having raw sex.
And she would jump up and start stomping her feet. Why? She had Charlie horses every single night. Charlie horses. she would get these horrible cramps in her skinny old legs, and she would jump up and stomp around and wake me all up.
I have another question for you.
Would you like to hear about my adventures with my old grandma? Okay,
yes.
Go ahead.
What the hell is a Charlie horse?
Charlie horse, that's a
Ralph horse.
We used to have them in those days.
A Brucey horse, how about a Richard horse?
I don't know if they call them Charlie horses now, but in those days, the cramps in your leg.
Why were they Charlie? I know what
she was
cramps
probably
in the
missing
legs are.
Something.
But why was it called Charlie?
She didn't believe in eating vegetables. She only ate potatoes and gravy and old-fashioned food. And I don't know what was wrong with her, but
potatoes
every single night, Charlie horses. Oh. And so then finally she'd stomp around, get the Charlie horse out of her leg.
Are you sure she was alone when this was happening?
Then we could go back to bed, sleep.
Jeez.
So see, I was earning my room and board by, doing stuff like this. And she could be kind of mean. I remember one time she told me, she said, "I've never seen such big ankles." And I was only 15, this kind of hurt my feelings. For my own grandma to tell me that my ankles were the most huge ankles she had ever seen.
Well, you can't fault her for just call them like I see them.
Thanks, Grandma.
I just call them like I see them, honey. It's like,
she just couldn't get over them.
That is one of the most ugliest kids I've ever seen,
Well, she
didn't go quite that far. You just say, boy, that's some baby, isn't it? That's some baby you got there.
I felt like saying, well, I have your son's bone structure, Grandma. Because he's the reason why I had those big boned ankles.
Yeah, okay.
So it was her fault, actually. No, her side of the family, because the Kings had little tiny nice ankles. Anyway, aren't you enthralled with this story of my year with my great grandma?
All I can say is
the liniment bedroom.
The pizza guy's probably going to show up but you just keep going when I answer the door, okay? I'm going to give him a tip, $5 and say, lots of luck, Charlie. You want to come in and listen to this story for a while? And she's not done. She's got another 2.5 years to go just to get out from Grandma's.
I couldn't believe my grandma had white hair, snow white hair. She tied it up in a little...
Well, that's because...
she looked 100 years old.
That's because she wasn't Jewish.
At least 20 years older
Jewish women, when they get gray, they don't get white.
I thought she looked ancient.
They get blonde, okay?
Ancient.
Go down to Florida, go on the East Coast. You're not going to see any Jewish women with white hair. It's blonde.
Oh. Grandma's was Snow White.
Mine's going to be blonde any day now.
And she wore it in a little knot, just like the regular old grandmas do, a little old knot up on top of her head.
I don't know. My grandma never did that.
She didn't? She didn't wear hers in a little knot up on her head? Both of my grandmas did.
Yeah, but none of my grandmas ever rode a horse, ever even hang around with the guys that had horses. In fact, the only horse they ever saw was the one coming up the street and, delivering the milk, and that was years ago.
But the great thing I remember...
Ice and eggs and milk and stuff.
Is not having to go to church.
We had a civilized society. What?
We did not go to church once.
Works for me.
Grandma and I and her sister would come visit her on Saturday, and she'd come in. Hello, darling. Oh, let's have a game of Rook. And so that's how she talked.
I know that most people that watch this know what the hell that is. It's a card game.
It's a card game.
It's the most bizarre card game.
You have suits.
If you like canasta, you'll like Rook.
Rook.
Or another one.
And Grandma would, she loved to win. And if I happened to win, I was a pretty good card player. I was pretty sharp.
I love to win.
And if I won, she'd take the table and throw the cards right up in the air. So, I tried to be careful not to win, but I couldn't help it. I just win sometimes.
She would do that if she won, or she would do it if she lost?
Oh, and then, you know, so she got me on my gambling. I mean, I went on from there, and in my senior year, I gambled with some more people I went to live with. So I went from going to church all the time to being a gambler. I started with Rook, and her son became a terrible gambler. Grandma's son. And I know he got it from playing Rook with her.
What is a terrible gambler?
Rook. Oh, he lost all his money.
Well,
he gambled,
gambler, right?
and his wife had to support him. And he also drank along with it, so he got cirrhosis of the liver. But,
well, what's this got to do with gambling?
Well, he lived right next door. And, yeah, well, this was a nest of gamblers.
Is there a good gambling?
Grandma and her son.
Good gambling is when you win.
Oh, well, they were bad. He was a bad gambler.
Oh, you said terrible. I didn't know.
Terrible. He was the kind of gambler that everybody points to and said, see what happens when you quit? When your old mother teaches you to love cards instead of church. He'd never go to church either. But there was religious people in the family, and they just had to ignore this.
Well, he should have took up. He should have took up bingo.
This old mother of theirs.
There is one church that just has bingo all over the place. Not naming any names, but I think we know what church that is. Bingo and gambling, and who gets the benefit of it? The church. It's. Well,
I had a very colorful past.
You got
living with all my relatives.
You got a colorful present right there. Believe me. Look at this. Holy crap!
Yes, and I'm going to write this all up, so.
Certainly hope so.
So anyway, I think the pizza man is due to knock on the door any minute.
No, the pizza man is not going to be here for at least an hour.
Oh. Well, I think we've babbled long enough.
Well, you might have babbled.
I'm through babbling for the day.
If you're done babbling, I mean, what could you say? By the way, do you know where the root of babbling came from?
What?
Did you ever read the Old Testament about Babylon?
Please. No, I think the root of babbling is Alzheimer.
Yahweh.
Old age dementia. Have you heard of those? Huh? We may have old age dementia, and well.
I have it. I just don't like to let people know I have it.
Right. You don't want to admit.
You don't know where babbling came. You came from Babylon, from the Old Testament.
Oh.
And
is this true?
Hell yes, it's true. It's the root of the word. It was
babbling.
See, this woman did not go to church.
I did not. I went to church.
Idea. I was forced to that. I was born. As a matter of fact, I'm pretty sure I already had born with a Bible in my hand. It's a real small one, you know.
And look at him now. It's so sad.
It's true. It really is. Yeah. Yes. Okay. Well, before I start babbling too much.
Before you. Somebody has to call a halt with these things. So.
Okay.
Would you please?
Whoa there, Nellie. Whoa, Nellie.
There you go.
Whoa, Nellie. Whoa. Oh, call a halt. Whoa.